So many new executives come into my program and they ask me, how do I lead my team members better? I am leading a lot of individuals that are older than me. What are the rules to that game? If you're asking that question and you are struggling with leading individuals that are older than you, there's something that you're not thinking about that could be a game changer for you. Hello and welcome to the Golden Hour. This is the 5 a.m. Leadership Lab. And in these leadership labs, I am answering questions that real executives ask me in my coaching program. So it is very common because we are now at a very critical point in the marketplace where there is a shift between leadership, where there are multi-generations within organizations, and there is a lot of complexity around human dynamics. How do we work with people who are rising leaders at the same time who are participating in the same discussion as established executives? And what do we do with the numbers of established executives who are now leaving, who are now exiting? And now there are these rising executives who are going to take their place. And there's this changing of the guard. How do we deal with generational gaps? So all of these questions are now coming into the forefront. And this is the marketplace that we're in. So today I want to address this question, which is, of course, a more sensitive nature, because in the workplace, professionalism is important, inclusivity is important, and also having unification is important within a team. So I just want to address this, and I do understand it is a more sensitive nature. And if you are a new leader or an established leader, and there are direct reports on your team who are older than you, who are more established than you, or who've been in the industry much longer than you, are there any rules to the game? I wouldn't say there are rules to the game, but I would say that there's something very important to consider. Think about this. There are so many generalizations, so many stereotypes out there around older people, whatever that means. What does it mean, older people, right? It's all relative. It depends who you ask, how they define older people. Like, for example, if you're referring to baby boomers, out there's so much information that are just generalizations and stereotypes about that generation of baby boomers. For example, there's people who say, well, baby boomers are mainly interested in retirement. Those are their highest values. Or there's other generalizations and stereotypes that say, well, baby boomers, they're not as tech savvy. And if you're younger, you are more tech savvy. So you see, these are generalizations. They are stereotypes. There are assumptions, which means that not every baby boomer or not everyone in that generation fits that description. So this is important for you to recognize where you've been indoctrinated by these generalizations, where you've been making assumptions about somebody just because of the generation they fall in, and let go of these assumptions. Instead of holding on to them, the more you hold on to these assumptions, the more you read about them on the internet, and the more it indoctrinates your way of thinking, the greater the panic you have and the greater the confusion on how to deal with them. Because it's possible that, let's say you're not a baby boomer, but you have a baby boomer on your team, and you read an article somewhere that said baby boomers are less tech savvy, and as a result of that, you see how that might drive some of your actions. That might drive the way you interact with them. So instead of letting popular media or social media or the internet, information on the internet, instead of letting that guide your leadership, seek to understand your team members as the individuals that they are. Spend some time to understand their mentality. Spend some time to understand their personality. Spend some time to understand their individuality and their uniqueness, and embrace those differences. Because anytime you're working with somebody, it doesn't matter if they're older, they're younger, it doesn't matter what age they are. Anytime you're working with somebody, that person is going to have some differences compared to you. And you can look at differences in terms of all the disadvantages to being different, all the negatives to being different. And for every negative and every disadvantage, I can come up with something positive about it or something advantageous about it. So learn to be able to see with objectivity. Learn to be able to perceive with objectivity and get to know these individuals for who they are. And you might be surprised that they do not at all fit the descriptions that are out there on the internet. So you want to know how to work with older team members, more established team members? This is the first step. Get to know them as individuals, their individuality. And then the next step is to respect them where they're at, their individuality and their differences. Respect them where they're at. Because it doesn't matter their age, it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter someone's background, doesn't matter what their racial background is, what their socioeconomic background is, it doesn't matter where they grew up, it doesn't matter where they were born, where they were raised, it does not matter where they went to school. Every individual has one thing in common. What is that? Every individual desires to be heard and understood and appreciated for who they are. And who they are is not what's written about their generation on the internet. Who they are is not a sum of assumptions of people who worked with someone else that is in their category, but it's not them. So let these assumptions go and allow your heart to lead. And in this place, it is important to be the kind of leader who genuinely wants to serve others, who genuinely desires to put the relationship ahead of our own self-interest. It is important to be that kind of leader because only then can you create a transformational and a unified environment for your teams.